Hey everybody, it's Gary Lucas. It's Thursday, April 30th. I can't believe we made it through this month. It seems like forever and a day. And anyway, I'm here as always Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to play for you. Well, it looks like a tempest is brewing out there, and how appropriate, because today is Walpurgis Nacht, or I should say tonight is the infamous, let's say, European Halloween, known as Witches' Sabbath, actually, in Germany, and is celebrated widely with bonfires and banging of pots and pans. Hey, they do that at 7 p.m. here every night. But in a more positive fashion, I mean, there it's to drive evil spirits away. Saint Walpurgis was actually a saint who was canonized because he was effective against pestilence. So let's hope he will breathe some of his positive energy on the proceedings worldwide. And well, without further ado, I'm going to do a song by the late, great Arthur Russell entitled Let's Go Swimming. And this was a request from Mark Jacobson and Caroline. And so here we go. Yeah, let's go swimming. When is the question? I wouldn't actually venture down on those beaches that are open in South Carolina or Florida at the moment. And California, I don't really get it. I've been posting about very selfish people here in the West Village walking around without masks with impunity. But the other day I passed the precinct station and there was a cop in front standing there without a mask, and I wasn't about to pick a fight there. So what can I say? Maybe they know something that we don't, but I would advise anybody venturing forth outdoors to put on that mask, man. When in the old days they would say, wear your Jimmy hat. I think we need full body condoms actually to get through this thing successfully. So, and I'd like to give a big shout out to my guy Jim Merlis from Big Hassle, who are doing PR for this forthcoming retrospective CD. It's a double album called The Essential Gary Lucas. Essential is in, maybe what I thought were the most important tracks for people to pay attention to, but the fact is I love them all, so it was a really tough selection, and there are many collaborations, for instance, that don't appear on this, but and I think it would be a good introduction to my work for people who don't really know my history. And anyway, Steve Byram did a fantastic job. The Knitting Factory printed up a splendid edition. I will hold it up for a bit, though it's backwards, I guess. You can't really read it in this light, oh dear. Well, you'll just have to take my word for it, and that'll be out September 11th. Yes, a red letter date. Not so far in the near future, let's say. Talk to you right now. Code the clue to well. Anyway, here we go. Hi. Well, before I was so, well, I wouldn't say rudely interrupted, but that was my old friend Coda Kloot calling from Amsterdam. Great old friend, Dutch producer. We've cooked up a lot of mischief together vis-a-vis concerts we did at the great venue, the Paradiso in Amsterdam. A tribute to the music of Jeff Buckley and Gary Lucas, and also a tribute to Captain Beefheart, Don Van Vliet, called The World of Captain Beefheart, which featured Nona Hendryx, fabulous Nona Hendryx. And the last official album I released on Knitting Factory is The World of Captain Beefheart, although not the Concert at Paradiso, a small group version, featuring great Jesse Krakow on bass and Jordan Shapiro on keyboards and Dickie Dworkin on drums. Check that one out. That's a lot of fun, and I believe we're going to do it whenever they're allowing us to do concerts again for the Bang on a Can guys here in New York City. There was a festival that was postponed like everything in my address book, except for a few Zoom concerts upcoming and website streaming of old live gigs. But you can catch me live here in the corporeal flesh, so to speak, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 3 p.m. And, well, I think I'll switch guitars now. But before I play some more, I want to thank Lee Lust, who's a great guy who got hammered when Pledge Music went under so ignominiously recently. I've known him forever, and he has a full archive of my early posters. So again, I don't know how this thing reads here backwards or in this kind of miserable light here on a gray day in New York City, but it's a poster for one of my earliest shows solo at the Knitting Factory. That was Friday, October 16th, 1988. Solo guitar, electric, and acoustic. These posters are quite nice, and I want to just give you a little backstory about those. At that point, I was still involved in a day job, which I held down for 13 long years at CBS Records, writing ads for all sorts of artists, everybody from Bruce Springsteen to the Jacksons to classical, whatever they threw at me. Most famously, I guess, probably for The Clash. And once in a while, I would get very excited about the groups that I was mandated to come up with advertising for, The Clash being one of them. And I was able to get some of these posters made out the back door, so to speak. Thank you to Victor Fiorillo and Joe Guarino and Steve Byram for designing it, because they definitely helped me spread the word back in the day, pre-internet. So anyway, thinking about Amsterdam and Holland for years was my best market, as they say, let's say, or territory or stomping grounds. I definitely spent enough time to qualify as a resident over many years. I used to go there 3 or 4 times a year and play alternately the Paradiso or the Bimhuis in Amsterdam, the great jazz club, later on at the Milky Way, Milkweg, and in Groningen, up at the, many great clubs, the Noorderlicht. I must have played at least 20, 25 towns and villages and squats and what have you all over Holland. So I really loved this country, as they were the first internationally to really get behind me in my work. And my very first solo album, which came out in the spring of '90, called Skeleton at the Feast, was largely recorded in the field, as it were, in Holland. And I'm going to play a track now that opens the record. The title is Strong Seed. Later, I gave it to the singer Najma Akhtar, who's a great Indian vocalist living in London for many years, who's a fantastic singer and a collaborator. This became our song, Soul Taker. So let's see. Seed. They sure had that then, and I'm sure they do now, although I am a abstemious sort for many years. Kids, don't try this at home. So let's see, we have a few more minutes. Let's go back to the old Gibson. You can check out the album that Soul Taker is on by downloading it from OK Music, which is a great label, mainly specializing in African music, modern African music, and the very first Gary Lucas album that piece occurs on, Skeleton at the Feast, is, I believe, yes, it's on Spotify. And anyway, so it being Walpurgisnacht, I have to play some appropriate music. Let's see. If you'd like to read an account of what happened to me 28 years ago on this very night in the Czech Republic, scroll down on that Facebook page you're watching the streaming concert on, because I've posted a recollection, a memoir called Vampire Circus, a prologue, which is a very detailed account of the events of that night, with photos from the gig, which was held in a little town in the Czech Republic called Kolín, a gig which ended triumphantly but then disastrously. But I don't want to spoil the story, but I have, all these years later, no explanation for what went on, and the circumstances surrounding it. It doesn't really, I can't quite explain it away as coincidence, is what I'm trying to tell you. So one of the pieces that I love to play in the world is my soundtrack with the great Walter Horn, who collaborated on the score with me for a German silent film called The Golem, which is essentially a Jewish Frankenstein myth. And I played it with Walter 3 or 4 times in the world, once at John Zorn's Festival of Radical Jewish Culture in Munich. And then I got busy doing it full-time. I did many tours in Europe where I actually, what they call, bicycled a print around that had myriad splices in it that would always jam in the projectors, 16 millimeter projectors that we used. But anyway, I was trying to, inculcate Golem-mania in the world, and I'm happy to say it keeps turning up in the culture and literature and art, and there have been new versions, but I go back to it many times. I know that Kino Lorber have released a restored version courtesy of the Cinémathèque Royale de Belgique. They found a beautiful positive of the film, or sorry, was it a negative? Oh well. A beautiful version, and inserted other parts that were missing to make a very coherent and watchable version, which has just come out. Check that one out. So anyway, in honor of it being Walpurgisnacht, and the story being set in the Czech Republic, and the golem being a myth that actually emanated originally around Rabbi Loew, chief rabbi of Prague, I'll do a little bit of the golem score here. Let's see. Cue crashing of cutlery and masonry. Well, okay, that's it for the time being, and happy Walpurgisnacht to you all, and especially my friends in Germany. Why don't you pay a visit up to the brook in the Harz Mountains, and you might see naked witches dancing around a bonfire tonight, but it's only an illusion. I think they have a tourism thing going on to provide this experience. But anyway, if you're a reader of Goethe's Faust, you can find out some more information about Walpurgisnacht. Anyway, a pleasure playing for you. If you liked what you hear, please show your appreciation at PayPal. Gary at GaryLucas.com is the address. And I love to play for you guys. And thanks, because it's helping keep my spirits up doing this, I can assure you. All right, big hugs to everybody, and see you on Saturday. Bye now.